Fresh out of college with my business degree, I found myself back in my childhood home. I'm Anna, 22 years old, and honestly, I hadn't planned on moving back in with my parents. But here I was. The job hunt didn't take long, thankfully. Within a week, I landed a position at Babysit marketing with a pretty decent salary and promising performance bonuses. That evening over Mom's meatloaf, I shared my good news. I figured I'd stay here for about 3 months, save up some money, and then get my own apartment. The clinking of forks against plates stopped abruptly. Mom and Dad exchanged one of their looks, the kind that always meant trouble. Moving out? Mom set down her fork. Anna, you know I can only work part-time at the library because of my back problems. Dad cleared his throat. And things aren't great at the plant. There've been rumors of layoffs. We could really use your help with the bills, Mom added softly. And you wouldn't have to pay rent here. It just makes more sense, doesn't it? I stared at my half-eaten meatloaf, feeling trapped. They had a point, sort of. And they were my parents, after all. I guess I could stay longer. Life fell into a routine after that. I went to work, came home, paid the bills, and Mom made sure dinner was always on the table. It seemed okay, manageable even. Until last weekend, when my sister Sarah showed up with her husband Mike and their kids, Emma and Lucas. The change in my parents was like someone had flipped a switch. "Oh, my precious angels," Mom cooed, scooping up 4-year-old Emma while Dad swung Lucas onto his shoulders. "Sarah, darling, you look wonderful. How's everything going? Tell us all about what you've been up to." I stood in the doorway, watching as my parents fawned over their eldest daughter and her perfect little family. The way they hung on her every word, asking for details about the most mundane things, how her garden was doing, what new words Lucas had learned, how her book club was going. They'd never shown that kind of interest in my life, not even when I made Dean's List or won the business school's leadership award. "Anna, be a dear and put on some coffee," Mom called over her shoulder, not even looking my way as she bounced Lucas on her knee. Standing in the kitchen that day, listening to my family's laughter from the living room, I couldn't help but think back to how things had always been this way. Sarah, 7 years my senior, had always been the star of our family show, while I was relegated to the role of supporting cast. I remember sitting at this same kitchen table when I was 11, showing Mom my straight-A report card. She barely glanced at it before returning to her conversation with Sarah about college applications. "That's nice, Anna," she'd said absently, waving me away. "Sarah, honey, which universities are your top choices?" Those years were all about Sarah's high school achievements. Every dinner conversation revolved around her grades, her extracurriculars, her college prep. I'd sit there quietly eating my peas while Mom and Dad hung on Sarah's every word about her AP classes and college tours. Everything changed even more dramatically when Sarah got accepted to Brighton University. I was 11 at the time, and I still remember that dinner conversation like it was yesterday. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart," Mom had exclaimed, tears in her eyes. "We'll make it work, won't we, Robert?" Dad nodded solemnly. "We'll take out a student loan. Our Sarah deserves the best education possible." A week after Sarah left for college, they sat me down for a different kind of talk. "Anna," Dad said, his voice serious, "we need to tighten our belts for a while. The loan payments and Sarah's college expenses are significant." That's when things really changed. While my classmates got new phones every year, I kept my old flip phone until it literally fell apart. When I needed new clothes, we went to thrift stores instead of the mall. Christmas gifts became practical items like socks and school supplies. But they never forgot to send Sarah money. "Your sister needs to focus on her studies," Mom would say as she wrote another check. "We can't let her feel stressed about money." I learned my lesson early. At 15, I joined every club and academic competition I could find. I stayed up late studying, not just for good grades, but for perfect ones. I wrote essays for scholarship competitions until my hands cramped. Because I knew that there would be no student loans for me. It paid off. I got a full scholarship to state university, and I still remember the look of relief on my parents' faces when I told them. They wouldn't have to spend a dime on my education. Meanwhile, Sarah graduated, got a job in Brighton, and quickly married Mike, her college sweetheart. Within 2 years, she had Emma, and Lucas followed shortly after. My parents were over the moon. Their perfect daughter had created a perfect family. Now, every monthly visit turned into the same routine. Sarah and Mike would show up with the kids, and before I could even say hello properly, Sarah would be planning her weekend. "Anna, you'll watch Emma and Lucas while we go shopping, right?" she'd say, not really asking. Mike and I hardly get any alone time these days. The first few times, I tried to suggest that our parents could watch them instead. "Oh, honey," Mom would say, rubbing her back. "You know it's hard for me to keep up with young children. And your father needs his rest on weekends." So here I was, spending yet another Saturday watching Frozen for the 100th time with Emma, while Lucas tried to color on my bedroom walls. Sarah and Mike were off having lunch with friends, and our parents were puttering around the garden, occasionally peeking in to ask if I needed anything, as if they were doing me a favor. I tried to console myself with the thought that it was just one weekend a month. Just one weekend of being the free, reliable babysitter while everyone else lived their lives. A year passed in this monthly rhythm of babysitting and bills. I had almost gotten used to it, almost. Then came the phone call that would turn my already complicated life completely upside down. I was doing dishes after dinner when I heard Mom's phone ring. From the kitchen, I could hear her surprised, "Sarah? Oh, sweetheart, don't cry. Tell me what happened." Through sobs, Sarah explained that Mike's company had gone bankrupt without warning. They couldn't afford their rent anymore and had no savings. Could we maybe stay with you for a while?" Sarah's voice was so loud through the phone that I could hear it clearly. "Of course you can," Mom exclaimed without a moment's hesitation. "We'll make room." My stomach dropped. I stepped forward, clearing my throat. If they're moving in, maybe this would be a good time for me to get my own apartment?" "You'd think I'd suggested burning down the house." Mom looked at me like I'd lost my mind. "Anna, don't be ridiculous. There's plenty of room for everyone." "But we're family," Dad said firmly. "We stick together during hard times." They arrived the following weekend with 3 cars full of belongings. I spent Saturday morning moving my things into what had been our storage room, the smallest bedroom in the house, barely big enough for a twin bed and a dresser. My old room, which was twice the size, became the kids' nursery because the children need space to play. Emma, now 5, and 3-year-old Lucas treated the entire house like their personal playground. They ran up and down the hallways, screaming and laughing, while Sarah watched TV at full volume or had long, loud phone conversations with her friends about how difficult this transition was for her. "Emma, Lucas, keep it down," I'd call out when they burst into my room for the 10th time, scattering my work papers everywhere. "They're just playing, Anna," Sarah would say dismissively, not even looking up from her phone. "Don't be such a grouch." After work, all I wanted was to relax in my room, maybe read a book or watch something on my laptop. Instead, I got to listen to Baby Shark playing on repeat through the thin walls, punctuated by the constant thump of little feet running back and forth and Sarah's loud laughter at whatever show she was watching downstairs. Mike spent his days supposedly job hunting, but mostly I saw him sitting at the kitchen table, scrolling through his phone with a worried expression. "The job market's tough right now," he'd say whenever anyone asked. "But I'm sure something will come up soon." I lay in my tiny bed each night, staring at the ceiling, listening to the chaos that had become my home, and wondered how I'd let myself get trapped in this situation. But every time I thought about bringing up moving out again, I remembered my parents' reaction and kept quiet. The first utility bill after Sarah's family moved in hit me like a punch to the gut. I stood in the kitchen, staring at the numbers that were almost double what I usually paid. The water bill alone had skyrocketed, not to mention electricity and heating. Looking at my bank account, I realized that my dreams of saving for my own place were quickly evaporating. That evening at dinner, I decided to bring it up. "So, about the utility bills," I started, pushing my peas around the plate. "They've doubled since last month. I can't keep covering all the bills by myself anymore. It's taking almost my entire salary." Sarah's fork clattered against her plate. "Are you seriously complaining about money right now? When Mike and I have lost everything?" "I'm not complaining, I just think we need to figure out a fair way to." "I can't believe how selfish you're being." Sarah's voice rose. "We're going through the hardest time of our lives, and all you care about is money?" "Sarah's right, Anna," Mom jumped in.